What's up, it's Will from Greenery Farms DIY, and today we're going to be stitching out not your normal contour face mask, but this one has a drinking hole in it. You can stick a straw through this hole and you can drink all you want through it. It's great. It promotes social distancing and safe conduct, so you don't have to take off your mask to consume your beverage of choice or anything like that. This is perfect for summer because we all know masks are going to be a part of our summer this year. So you might as well just get on it and make this really cool mask with a hole in it. All right, so first I'm going to do kind of a test to see if I'm going to be within the hoop with this mask. And this button, while it may show up differently on different machines, it is the exact same and it does the exact same thing, but it's right here. It's just a preview of what your machine's going to do. So as you can see, it's moving around the hoop. And you watch this so you can see if you're going to stay inside your hoop. So that's really helpful when you're doing designs and you just need to see how close to an edge you're getting, or so you can really accurately put down fabric or anything like that. But yeah, it's just this button right here. So, and it may show up a little different on your machine, or it may be in a different location, but that is what it does. So this mask is super simple to make. First, we're just going to lay our fabric down in the hoop like so. We're going to make sure it's nice and flat. And you can use that button again to make sure that it fits in your sewing machine. And as you can see, we have a little dot on ours. So you can kind of just see that traveling around the design. So that makes it even more helpful if your machine doesn't have a camera or anything like that. So as you can see, this fits inside of our hoop. So now we can just hit lock and go. All right, so now we're going to fold our fabric over the top of our other design to create the contour. Now, if you're using two separate sheets of fabric, so you're just going to lay the fabric down on top. Or if you're using one sheet of fabric like we are, you're just going to kind of just fold it over and make sure it's all nice and flat and lined up. And then you're going to hit go. All right, and now we're gonna trim out our design, and you're gonna trim it right at the sew line. And you're gonna go all the way around the design. All right, so the easiest way to do this is flip your design over so you're on the back side, make sure your fabric is lined up, and then just trim like so. All right, everyone, so I just got done trimming this out, and if you flip it inside out, it's got this nice contour to it, so it has this nice curve, and this is actually going to be our inside lining to the mask. And now we're going to do our outer lining. So we're starting on our outside, and just remember, these designs are designed just to have your fabric straight in. There's not a placement or anything like that, so you just put your fabric straight in. And you can always do that test layout button to check and make sure your fabric fits. But now we're just going to go ahead and start stitching it. All right, so now that that's done, we're just gonna lay our fabric on top, like so, and we're gonna stitch down the tack down for that. All right, so now we're gonna trim out our applique, and we're gonna reinsert it back into the hoop. All right, so I just cut out our design, and I'm gonna reinsert it back in, and we're gonna do our satin stitch going around to hold in the applique. Alright, so now we have our satin. We're just going to continue on the design. It's actually going to be the hole placement, so where you're going to end up putting your hole into the side of this mask. Alright, so right now we're doing the placement stitch for our flap that's going to hang over the top. Alright, so now we're going to put our flap in, and I like to use some tape to affix my flap to it so I don't have to like risk putting a needle through my finger. That doesn't sound fun at all. So we're just going to line up our flap, and we're just going to press our tape down. And we're going to start our design. Alright, so now that we have that stitched, we're going to fold our top piece over like we did in the first design. And we're just going to push it all the way up so it's nice and over. And we're going to get it so it's nice and flat. And then this is going to be our contour curve, so it ends up coming out like this. Alright, so now that this is done, we can unhoop our design, and we're going to do the same thing, cutting it as we did before. You flip it over, and you cut along the lines on this. Now we're on the third and final design. You can either do this step in the sewing machine, or if you want to do it on an embroidery machine, you will need a 6x10 hoop. So first you're going to remove all the tearaway from your designs. You can see that we did that. Then you're going to open your fabric, and you're going to essentially, once you get out all the designs stitched, you're going to nest each of your sheets like that, and it's going to stitch them all together. and then you're going to turn it inside out. But let's show you how to do that first. So first off, it's going to be the placement stitch, and that's just going to go down first so you know where to place your mask. Alright, so next you're going to place down your like your outward facing part of your mask, and you unhoop your design to do this so you can get it a little more accurate. But you're going to place it down so you can, so it's overlapping the lines, and then you're going to use tape or some other sort of adhesive to hold it down. Alright, so I went ahead and taped it down, and I'm going to return it back into the arms. And then we're going to start our tack down stitch for this first piece. Alright, so now we're going to remove the hoop, and we're going to place our inner piece on over the top of this, and you can also tape the sides down on this if you feel it's necessary. So you just put a little tape. Little tape goes a long ways on this, and you just want to make sure that it does go over the lines everywhere on it. So usually just a couple pieces of tape, like one on the corners and then one on like the nose area. Works pretty good. And then you're just going to start your tack down stitch for this one. Alright, so now we're going to cut this out, flip it, and then top stitch it over at the sewing machine. Hi everyone, so I cut this out. I used a rotary cutter to cut it out because it's pretty easy to do. And now I'm just going to flip it so it's all right going around.